Hello and welcome, friends. Today we're going to listen to a very powerful story. The name of this story is The Custody Virus, written by Amjad. It's full of suspense, emotion, and shocking truths. But wait, this story is not just a story. It's also a test. If you can understand this story completely, that means your English is already 50% good. Yes, this story is written in simple and easy English for everyone to enjoy and understand. So keep listening, and if you understand everything till the end, you're doing great in English learning. Now, let's begin the story. The world changed when a new virus started spreading. People didn't cough or get fever. Instead, the virus did something strange. It made women infertile. That means they could not become pregnant. Scientists were worried. Doctors were confused. People were scared. Governments told everyone, "This virus is dangerous. It's better not to get pregnant now." In this world, there was a woman named Sarah. She was smart, kind, and full of dreams. She wanted to become a mother one day. She was married to a man named Imran. He was calm, loving, and always protective. One day, Sarah went to the hospital for a checkup. There, she found something shocking. Her body had the virus. But how? She had stayed safe, never went out much, wore a mask. Then she found the truth. Her husband, Imran, had the virus, and he gave it to her on purpose. Sarah was broken. Why would the man I love stop me from becoming a mother? She cried. She shouted. And she made a decision. She divorced him. But what she didn't know was that Imran was hiding something, a truth that would change everything. After the divorce, Sarah felt very lonely. Her heart was full of pain, confusion, and anger. She couldn't believe that Imran had betrayed her. She had trusted him. She had shared everything with him. And now, she thought he had taken away her chance to become a mother. For many days, Sarah stayed quiet. She did not talk much to her friends or family. She stopped smiling. She just went to work, came home, and stayed in her room. But slowly, time started to heal her. She began going out again. She met old friends. She read books. She tried to move forward. She told herself, "Imran is in the past. My future will be better." One day, while visiting a bookstore, Sarah met a man named Tyler. He was friendly, soft-spoken, and he smiled often. He asked her about the book in her hand. They started talking. Sarah laughed for the first time in many weeks. That small meeting turned into coffee. Coffee turned into dinner. And soon, Tyler became a regular part of Sarah's life. Tyler was different from Imran. He didn't ask many questions. He didn't try to control her. He made her feel free. With him, Sarah felt seen, heard, and loved. After some months, Tyler asked her if she wanted to get married again. Sarah thought about it for many days. She was still scared. But in the end, she said yes. She believed she deserved a fresh start. She wanted to love and be loved again. They got married in a small, simple ceremony. Only close friends and family were there. Sarah's parents were happy to see her smiling again. Life seemed to be getting better. After the wedding, Tyler told Sarah that he always wanted children. Sarah felt nervous. She remembered the virus. She remembered the doctor's words. "You have the virus. It may be hard to have a baby." But Tyler smiled and said, "Let's try. If it happens, it happens. If not, we will still be happy." Sarah felt hopeful. Maybe her dream could still come true. She visited the doctor again. This time, the doctor said something surprising. Sarah's body was doing fine. The virus was not active. It looked like she might be able to get pregnant. After a few weeks, Sarah missed her period. She took a test. It was positive. She was pregnant. Tears came to her eyes. She sat down slowly. She couldn't believe it. After all the pain, after everything, she was finally going to be a mother. She called Tyler. He came running home. When she told him the news, he hugged her tightly. He said, "You have made me the happiest man on earth." They started planning for the baby. They bought baby clothes, made lists of names, and painted the room yellow. Sarah talked to her baby every night. She sang songs, placed her hands on her stomach, and smiled. But deep inside her heart, something didn't feel right. She started feeling tired all the time. Her legs hurt. She had trouble breathing. The doctor said it was normal. Some women feel weak during pregnancy. But Sarah could feel something else. Something she couldn't explain. Then, one day during a regular checkup, the doctor looked serious. He asked Tyler to wait outside. Then he told Sarah something that made her feel cold all over. "You need to rest more," he said. "Your condition is not looking good. We will keep checking." Sarah asked, "Is something wrong with the baby?" The doctor said, "No, the baby is fine. But your body is showing signs of stress. We will need to be very careful." Sarah went home and lay on the bed. She stared at the ceiling. Her mind was full of fear. She thought of Imran. She thought of the virus. She remembered what the world believed, that the virus causes infertility. But what if that was not the full truth? She didn't know it yet, but something much darker was waiting. Something that would change everything again. Sarah's pregnancy continued, but things did not get easier. Every week, she felt weaker. Her body was in pain. She had trouble standing for too long. Sometimes, even breathing felt like hard work. Tyler stayed by her side. He took care of the house, cooked food, and gave her medicine on time. He told her, "You just rest. I will take care of everything." But Sarah's heart was still worried. She started reading more about the virus. She searched online, read news articles, and watched old interviews with doctors. Most of the information said the same thing. The virus caused infertility in women. That was the main danger. But a few articles said something different. One doctor had said, "There may be more effects of the virus that we do not understand yet. It is not just about pregnancy. It may affect the whole process of childbirth." Sarah remembered these words. They stayed in her mind. She wanted to ask the doctor more questions, but each time she went for a checkup, the doctor seemed busy or avoided her eyes. That made her even more nervous. One day, when Tyler was out, Sarah received a message. It was from an unknown number. It said only 2 words, "Check records." She was confused. What records? Who sent this? But then she remembered that Tyler worked at a health company before. He once told her he used to manage some patient data when the virus was spreading. Sarah waited until Tyler left the house again. Then she quietly took his laptop. She felt a little guilty, but her fear was stronger than her guilt. She opened the laptop and searched for any folders or files with the virus name. At first, she found nothing, but after some time, she opened a hidden folder. The name of the folder was written in numbers. Inside, she found documents. They were old reports from the time the virus first spread. She opened the first file. It was a case study. A pregnant woman got the virus and became weak. She died during childbirth. The baby survived. The next file was similar. Another woman. Same result. The baby lived. The mother died. Sarah read 5, 10, 20 cases. All were the same. All mothers died during or shortly after childbirth. None of these cases were shared in public news. She felt her hands go cold. Her heart started beating fast. She closed the laptop and sat in silence. Suddenly, everything made sense. This is what Imran was trying to protect her from. He knew the truth, that the virus didn't just stop pregnancy. It killed women during childbirth. He gave her the virus so she would never become pregnant. Not because he hated her, but because he wanted to save her. Tears came into Sarah's eyes. She remembered the day she left Imran. She remembered shouting at him. She remembered how quiet he was, how he didn't fight back, how his eyes looked heavy. Now she knew why. He was hiding a painful truth, a truth that would have sounded like a lie if he had told her. But now it was too late. She was already pregnant. Her body was already showing signs of danger. The reports she saw on Tyler's laptop were not old stories anymore. They were now her reality. Sarah didn't know what to do. She wanted to call him Ron, to ask him everything, to cry in front of him, to say sorry, but she had no contact with him now. She didn't even know where he lived. She also didn't understand something else. Why didn't Tyler tell her the truth? If he had these reports, then he knew. He knew what would happen to her. Why did he let her get pregnant? That question sat like a stone in her chest. She waited until Tyler came home. She acted normal. She smiled. She said she was tired. She didn't mention the laptop. That night, after he slept, she stared at him. She watched him breathe. She thought, "Did you do this to me on purpose? Did you let me walk into death with a smile?" Sarah didn't sleep that night. Something inside her had changed. The truth was now open, but more questions had come. And the biggest question of all was this: was she going to survive this pregnancy, or was she already living the last days of her life? The next morning, Sarah's mind was still full of questions. She could not forget the files she saw. She could not forget the faces of the women in those reports. All of them were just like her. Happy, hopeful, carrying life inside them. But none of them lived to hold their babies. Sarah was afraid, but she was also angry now. Angry at the lies, angry at the silence, and most of all, angry at Tyler. She started noticing things more carefully. When Tyler gave her medicine, she looked at the label. When he spoke, she listened to every word. He still smiled at her, still held her hand, still said, "I love you," every night. But now those words felt different. They felt cold. Sarah didn't say anything to him yet. She needed to be sure. She needed proof. So, the next day, she went back to the hospital. She didn't go to her usual doctor. She chose a different one this time, a female doctor in another part of the city. She gave her a fake name. She said, "I just want to get a second opinion." The doctor took her blood and did some tests. After 2 days, the doctor called her back. "Your baby is healthy," she said, "but there is something you should know." Sarah sat still. "You are carrying a strain of the virus, the one from the pandemic," the doctor continued. "It's very rare these days, but it's still dangerous." Sarah asked, "Will it hurt the baby?" "No," the doctor said. "The baby will survive. But we have seen in old cases, the mothers don't make it." Sarah's throat felt dry. She asked, "Do you have those reports?" The doctor nodded. She showed Sarah a folder with printed pages. Sarah started reading. More names. More women. All pregnant. All died before or during childbirth. It was the same thing again. Over and over. She asked the doctor, "Is there any cure? Any treatment?" The doctor looked down. "We don't have one. We thought the virus was over. The government stopped research. No one talks about it now." Sarah felt tears come to her eyes, but she held them back. She said thank you, took the papers, and left. Now she had proof. It was real. It was not just some mistake or old story. She was truly in danger. And someone, Tyler, had allowed this to happen. She went back home and didn't speak a word. She hid the papers in a drawer. That night, she waited until Tyler was asleep again. Then she took his phone. She opened his email. There were messages. Some were between him and a research lab. They were not work emails. They were personal. One message said, "Confirmed. She can carry the baby, but she will not survive delivery. Do you still want to proceed?" Another message had his reply. "Yes. I want the child. I'll take care of the rest." Sarah dropped the phone. She sat on the floor. Her mouth opened but no sound came. Tyler had known everything. He knew she would die. He chose to do it anyway. She felt like the world had broken into two. First Imran, who gave her the virus to protect her. Now Tyler, who let her carry the virus to have a child. She realized something terrible. She had misunderstood everything. Imran had loved her deeply. So deeply, he was ready to be hated just to keep her safe. But Tyler's love was not love. It was selfish. It was cruel. He wanted a child more than he cared about her life. The next day, Sarah made a decision. She packed a small bag. She took the papers, the test results, and Tyler's email screenshots. She left the house without a word. She didn't know where she was going yet. But she knew she could not stay. As she walked through the city, her hand on her stomach, she whispered, "I will save you, and I will save myself, even if no one else tries." And so, Sarah began a quiet fight for her life and the life growing inside her. She had only truth as her weapon. But sometimes, truth is enough. Sarah walked without stopping for a long time. She didn't care where she was going. She just wanted to get away from the lies, the pain, and the fear. Her body was tired, and her legs started to hurt, but her mind was full of fire. For the first time, she was not only scared, she was also strong. She knew the truth now, and she was ready to fight. After some time, she found a small guest house in a quiet area of the city. It wasn't fancy, but it was clean and safe. She used some cash to pay for a room. The old woman at the counter gave her the key and asked, "You look tired, child. Are you all right?" Sarah just nodded and went to her room. She lay on the bed, looking at the ceiling. Her hand was on her stomach. She whispered to her baby, "I will not let anyone hurt you, and I will not let anyone take me away from you." The next morning, Sarah started planning. She called a lawyer. She explained that she had been given a dangerous virus without her knowledge. She said someone used her body for their own goals. She didn't give the names at first. She only asked, "Can I file a case for this? Is this a crime?" The lawyer was shocked. He said, "Yes, this can be taken to court. It is not just wrong. It is criminal. But we need evidence." Sarah said, "I have proof. Test results. Emails. Medical records." The lawyer told her to come to his office the next day. He promised to keep everything private and safe. After the call, Sarah also tried to contact one of the doctors from the old virus research team. She found his name in one of Tyler's emails. After some searching, she got his number. At first, he didn't want to talk. He said, "That work is over. We are not allowed to speak about it." But when Sarah said she was pregnant and infected, his tone changed. He agreed to meet her in a public place. They met in a quiet park. He was an older man, his face serious. He listened to Sarah's story without speaking. When she finished, he nodded slowly. "You are not the only one," he said. "There were other women, but their stories never came out. Some died. Some were forced to stay silent." Sarah asked, "Why didn't the government do anything?" "They didn't want fear to spread again," the doctor replied. "So they told us to destroy all reports. Stop all research. Tell the public the virus only causes infertility. Nothing more." Sarah felt anger rising inside her again. She asked, "But what about us? What about the women who are dying because of this lie?" The doctor said, "Most people don't even know the virus is still alive. But you are right. Someone must speak the truth." He gave her some old files he had secretly kept. "These are copies of the final reports," he said. "Be careful. This is dangerous information. But if you want to fight, you will need this." Sarah thanked him with tears in her eyes. That night, back at the guest house, Sarah looked through the new documents. Her heart broke again. So many women had been silenced. Their deaths were hidden like shameful secrets. But she also felt something else, power. She now had the truth, and she had support. The next day, she went to the lawyer's office. She gave him everything, the files, the test reports, the emails from Tyler, and the new medical data. The lawyer read through them carefully and looked up. "We can build a case," he said. "This will take time. But if we win, it will not just be justice for you. It will be justice for every woman who was used like this." Sarah felt something shift inside her. For the first time in weeks, she felt hope. Later, she began visiting a small clinic run by women doctors. They were kind and didn't ask too many questions. She showed them her medical history and the virus details. The head doctor said, "You are strong. We'll do everything to help you through this pregnancy. But you must also prepare yourself. The risk is real." Sarah nodded. "I know. But I won't give up. Not now." And so, Sarah's fight became two battles. One, inside the courtroom, for justice. The other, inside her own body, for survival. Each day was a challenge. But with every step, she was no longer just a victim. She was becoming a voice for truth, a voice for mothers, a voice for herself. Weeks passed slowly. Sarah's days were full of doctor visits, lawyer meetings, and moments of quiet fear. Her belly was growing, but so was her courage. Each heartbeat of her baby reminded her why she had to stay strong. The risk was high, but giving up was no longer an option. The woman doctors at the small clinic became her biggest support. They were careful, gentle, and spoke to her with respect. One of them, Dr. Rebecca, explained things in a way that made Sarah feel calm. "The virus you carry," Dr. Rebecca said, "is not well understood. It doesn't harm everyone the same way. But for some pregnant women, it attacks the body during childbirth. That's why the death rate is high." Sarah asked, "Is there a way to stop it?" "We're trying to understand more. Right now, we can only monitor your health closely. If we see signs of danger, we may need to plan an early delivery," Dr. Rebecca replied. Sarah nodded, listening carefully. She started keeping a notebook, writing down how she felt each day, what she ate, how the baby moved. She became a student of her own body. She wanted to know every signal, every change, and be ready. Meanwhile, the legal case started to move forward. Sarah's lawyer, Mr. Roy, was careful and clever. He gathered all the files, made copies, and sent legal notices to the hospital, to Tyler, and even to the research lab that once studied the virus. At first, there was silence. No one responded. But soon, the pressure started to build. Tyler sent a message through his lawyer. It was short. "She is lying. I never infected her. This is an attack on my name." Sarah felt sick reading it. But Mr. Roy said, "This is expected. He will try to protect himself. But we have proof. Let the court decide." News about the case slowly reached some reporters. A small news blog published a short article. "Pregnant woman accuses ex-husband of infecting her with dangerous virus." The article didn't have many details, but it caught some attention. Then something strange happened. One evening, as Sarah returned to the guest house, she found an envelope under her door. No name. No return address. Inside was a note. "You are not safe. Stop the case. Think of the baby." Sarah's hands shook as she read it. Was this a threat? Was someone watching her? She took the note to Mr. Roy the next morning. He looked concerned but calm. "This means your case is getting close to something important," he said. "It also means someone is scared. That's a sign we are doing the right thing." Mr. Roy reported the threat to the police. They placed extra attention on her case. But Sarah couldn't stop thinking about it. Who sent the note? Was it Tyler? Or someone from the lab? She became more careful. She changed her phone number. She started using a fake name at the clinic. The doctors agreed to protect her identity. Dr. Rebecca said, "You are brave, but you must stay safe. Let us help you." One day, while waiting for her test results at the clinic, Sarah met another woman. Her name was Asha. She looked tired, her eyes full of fear. They started talking. Asha whispered, "I was pregnant too, but I lost the baby. They said it was my body's fault. But I think it was something else. I think it was the same virus." Sarah's heart broke. She asked, "Did someone give it to you?" Asha looked away and said, "My husband worked for the lab. He said it was safe. He said it was to protect me. But I think he lied." Sarah realized she was not alone. There were others. Other women who had been infected. Other women who had been betrayed. She wrote down Asha's story and told Mr. Roy, "We can use this," he said. "If more women speak up, the case becomes stronger." Sarah decided to make a choice. She asked a journalist to meet her. She didn't show her face, but she told her full story. The reporter listened carefully and promised to write it with care. A week later, a new article appeared online. "The Hidden Virus. One Woman's Fight for Truth." This time, the article spread quickly. People started asking questions. Some showed support. Others said she was lying. But Sarah didn't stop. She was carrying a life inside her, and she was carrying the truth. Both needed protection. As her 8th month of pregnancy approached, Sarah's body grew weaker. The virus was quiet, but the doctors warned her, "Anything can happen during labor. You must be ready." She looked at her notebook, full of notes, dreams, and fears. She whispered to her baby again, "We're almost there. Just hold on." The 9th month came. Sarah was now very close to her delivery date. Every movement in her body felt heavier. Every breath was slower. But her heart, her courage, and her will to fight were still strong. The doctors told her they would not take any risks. They planned a careful delivery, using all the safety methods they knew. It would not be easy, but they were ready. One night, Sarah felt pain. At first, she thought it was normal, just part of the pregnancy. But the pain came again, sharper this time, and then again, closer together. She knew the moment had come. The clinic team was already on alert. When Sarah arrived, they moved quickly. Dr. Rebecca held her hand and said, "You're strong, Sarah. We are with you. Let's bring this baby into the world safely." The delivery room was quiet but tense. Sarah was breathing hard, sweat on her forehead, holding on. The virus was always in the back of everyone's mind. Would it stay silent, or would it strike when she gave birth? Doctors and nurses worked together like a team of soldiers. Machines beeped. Monitors showed the baby's heartbeat. The process was slow, painful, and filled with risk. Every second felt long. After hours of labor, the moment arrived. The baby's first cry broke the silence. A healthy baby girl. Small, pink, and alive. Tears filled Sarah's eyes. She couldn't speak. The doctors checked both mother and child. So far, there were no signs of danger. The virus had not attacked, but they kept her under observation. Sarah held her daughter for the first time. Her hands shook. She whispered, "You made it. We made it." But the story didn't end here. 2 days after the delivery, Sarah developed a high fever. The doctors rushed to test her blood. Her heartbeat was fast. Breathing was shallow. The virus had stayed quiet during childbirth, but now it seemed to be active. Dr. Rebecca told the team, "We need to start treatment right now. We may have only a few hours." Sarah was moved to the special care room. The baby was kept in a separate area for safety. Sarah's body was weak, but her mind was clear. She told Dr. Rebecca, "If I don't make it, make sure she grows up safe. Make sure the world knows what happened." Dr. Rebecca held her hand and said, "You will make it. We are not giving up." The doctors used every medicine they had. Some were experimental. They had no other choice. Hours passed. Sarah's fever rose, then dropped, then rose again. Her body was fighting. So were the doctors. Outside the hospital, something important was happening. The journalist who had written Sarah's story shared a new article. This time, she included Asha's story and stories from other women who came forward after reading about Sarah. Created a wave. People started talking about the virus again. Activists demanded answers from the health ministry. One woman's fight was now a larger voice. A legal notice reached the lab that studied the virus. The court asked them to share all research papers related to the virus. Suddenly, they agreed. Mr. Roy received a large set of documents. He stayed up all night reading. In those documents, something shocking was found. One paper, marked confidential, explained early tests of the virus. It showed that researchers knew the virus didn't just affect fertility. It caused serious risk to pregnant women, especially during and after childbirth. But they kept it hidden. The document also listed people who received early samples of the virus to test. Tyler's name was there. Mr. Roy now had proof. Sarah had not lied. She had been infected by someone who knew the risks and chose to hide them. This changed the whole case. At the same time, in the hospital, Sarah's condition began to improve. The fever started to fall. Her breathing became easier. Dr. Rebecca smiled for the first time in days. "She's responding," she told the nurses. Sarah opened her eyes slowly. Her first words were, "Where's my baby?" "She's safe," Dr. Rebecca said. "She's waiting to see her mother." Sarah cried again, but this time, they were tears of life, not fear. The hospital called Mr. Roy to tell him the good news. He smiled and said, "Tell her the fight is not over, but she's already won the hardest part." Sarah's baby girl was named Angela. It means light. And in that small face, Sarah saw hope. But far away, someone else was watching the news. Tyler. He saw the articles, the court orders, the protests. His secret was no longer safe. And Sarah, now stronger than ever, was ready to tell the world the full truth. The news about Sarah's survival and her baby Angela's birth spread across the country. People were shocked and emotional. Many saw Sarah as a symbol of courage and truth. But more than that, they began asking real questions. Why was the truth about the virus hidden? Who decided that this danger should not be shared with the public? And most importantly, why did people like Sarah have to suffer because of someone else's decision? Mr. Roy, Sarah's lawyer, worked day and night. He carefully prepared the case. He included the research papers from the virus lab. He included the medical records from the hospital. And most importantly, he showed the signed documents that proved Tyler had access to the virus early. Mr. Roy believed that this was not just a case about one woman being betrayed by her husband. This was now a case about public health, about justice, and about protecting future mothers from the same pain. Meanwhile, Sarah stayed in the hospital for a few more days. She was still weak, but each day she grew stronger. She would hold baby Angela in her arms and whisper stories to her. Even though Angela was too small to understand, Sarah knew that her voice and her love would build a strong bond. Dr. Rebecca visited often. She said, "Sarah, you are not just a survivor. You are a teacher to many women now. You gave them strength to speak." Sarah nodded. She knew that was true. In the past week, many women had reached out to the hospital, sharing their own stories. Some had lost babies. Some had miscarried. Some had never understood why they could not get pregnant. But now, they were starting to connect the dots. Mr. Roy organized a press conference. Sarah didn't want to speak, but she agreed to be present. She sat quietly while Mr. Roy told the world what had happened. He showed the lab papers. He spoke about Tyler's role. He read out the line from the confidential report. The virus carries a 60% chance of causing death during childbirth if not treated. Reporters were shocked. Many had thought the virus was gone. But now they realized the real danger was not the virus. It was the silence. That same evening, a government spokesperson gave a short statement. He said the ministry would look into the matter. But that was not enough. People wanted real answers. Women across the country started demanding free tests for the virus. They wanted medical care and counseling. And most of all, they wanted justice for the women who had died or suffered in silence. Tyler, on the other hand, had gone into hiding. He was no longer working at his company. His phone was off. His house was empty. But Mr. Roy was sure he would not stay hidden for long. The court had already sent a notice. If Tyler didn't appear, he could be arrested. But the court case was just one part of the story. The bigger part was still happening inside Sarah's heart. One evening, Dr. Rebecca sat with her in the hospital garden. Sarah asked, "Did he do it to save me or to control me? I still don't understand." Dr. Rebecca said, "Sarah, sometimes people think they are protecting us, but they make the choice for us without asking. That's not love. That's control. If Tyler truly wanted to save you, he should have told you everything." Sarah thought about it for a long time. She had once loved Tyler deeply. She had built a future with him in her mind. But now that future was broken. Still, she had something even more powerful in her arms. Angela, her daughter, her reason to keep going. As Sarah left the hospital, a group of women stood outside. Some had signs. Some just stood quietly. One woman stepped forward and said, "Thank you, Sarah. Because of you, I went for a checkup. They found something early. You saved my life." Sarah didn't know what to say. She just held her daughter close and nodded. Later that week, a special hearing was held in court. Mr. Roy presented all the documents again. A video call was set up with Tyler, who had finally agreed to speak. The judge asked him directly, "Did you infect your wife with knowledge of the virus and its dangers?" Tyler didn't speak for a moment. Then he said, "I thought I was protecting her. I didn't want her to get pregnant. I knew the risks. I couldn't tell her. I was afraid." The courtroom was silent. The judge replied, "What you did was not protection. It was betrayal." The judge ordered a full investigation into the lab and the people who helped hide the virus. Tyler was told he would face criminal charges for his actions. And more importantly, a new law was suggested, a law that would make it illegal to hide health risks from your partner. This law was called Sarah's Law. Sarah didn't want fame. She didn't want revenge. She only wanted truth and safety. For herself, for Angela, and for every woman in the country. Her fight had become a movement. And her story was not over yet. As time passed, Sarah began to rebuild her life, one small step at a time. Her body was healing slowly, but her mind carried heavy memories. She had almost died, lost her trust in the man she loved, and faced a world that stayed silent when it should have spoken up. But she had also discovered her strength. And now, her strength was helping others. The court trial continued. Tyler was now under arrest. His lawyers tried to argue that he had acted out of love, that he had panicked and made a bad decision, but the evidence was clear. He had access to virus research. He knew the danger to pregnant women. He made a choice, not to protect Sarah, but to control her. He had infected her without consent. He had lied to her, again and again. Many women were watching this trial closely. They saw themselves in Sarah, women who had been silenced, ignored, or kept in the dark by the people they trusted. Sarah had become their voice, not just in court, but everywhere. Meanwhile, Sarah's law was being discussed in Parliament. The law said that no one could hide a serious medical risk from their partner, especially when it affected life, pregnancy, or long-term health. If someone knowingly exposed their partner to a harmful virus or disease without telling them, it would be considered a serious crime. Many doctors supported this law. They said it was time to put truth and honesty at the center of healthcare. Couples should make choices together. No one should suffer in silence. At the same time, Sarah had started speaking to women's groups. She visited clinics, schools, and online support meetings. She told her story not with anger, but with calm honesty. She wanted women to understand their rights. She wanted young girls to know that love never hides the truth, that real love includes respect and choice. One day, she was invited to a medical college to speak to future doctors. She stood in front of hundreds of students and told them her story. When she finished, a young girl raised her hand and asked, "If you could go back in time, would you do anything differently?" Sarah thought for a moment and said, "Yes, I would ask more questions. I would not stay quiet just to keep the peace. And I would listen to my body more carefully. But I also know that none of this was my fault. The mistake was not mine. It was made by someone who thought he could decide for me." After the talk, many students came forward to thank her. Some even shared their own family stories about relatives who suffered in silence, who trusted too much, and paid a big price. Sarah understood them. Pain connects people, but truth heals them. Baby Angela was now a few months old. She smiled often, and her eyes followed Sarah everywhere. Sarah would feed her, sing to her, and write in a small diary every night. In the diary, she recorded everything she felt: her fears, her strength, her dreams for Angela. She wanted Angela to grow up in a world where she would never have to face such betrayal. Tyler's parents had sent a message. They said they were sorry for what had happened. They asked if they could meet Angela one day. Sarah replied gently but firmly. She said Angela would grow up with love, but not with lies. She was open to the idea of meeting them someday, but only if they respected her truth and accepted her choices. The final hearing in the court was set. Sarah dressed simply, with a white shawl and her hair tied back. She didn't want to show anger or revenge. She just wanted justice. In the courtroom, the judge looked at all sides. He listened to the testimonies. Then he gave his final words. He said, "This case has shown us how love, when mixed with fear and control, can become dangerous." Tyler's actions were not of love, but of power. He took away Sarah's right to choose. He put her life in danger. This court cannot bring back the peace she lost, but it can send a message. Health and truth must never be hidden. Tyler was sentenced to prison. His actions were recorded in the national medical and legal records. And the court officially supported Sarah's law, which was passed by the parliament 2 months later. Outside the courtroom, women were waiting. When Sarah stepped out, they clapped, not loudly, but with respect. Some had tears. Some just smiled. One woman stepped forward and said, "You changed things for us? Thank you." Sarah nodded, holding Angela close to her chest. The sun was shining that day, and for the first time in a long time, she felt warm inside, not just from the light, but from hope. Years passed, and the world changed slowly. The custody virus, once a silent shadow over families and relationships, became a part of public education. Scientists continued to study it, and doctors were more careful in how they spoke to patients. Many lessons were learned from what happened to Sarah, and the story spread far and wide, especially in schools, universities, hospitals, and legal institutions. Sarah's law became a strong foundation in many countries, not just her own. It reminded people that love without honesty is not love. It reminded them that silence, especially in health matters, is dangerous, and it gave power back to individuals, especially women, who had often been left out of decisions that deeply affected their lives and bodies. Sarah became a writer, not a professional one at first, but she wrote from the heart. She published her diary, Letters to Angela, which included the things she wished she had known, and the words she hoped Angela would understand one day. It became a bestseller. People read it not just to learn about the virus, but to understand how a person survives betrayal, pain, and fear, and still finds courage to move forward. Angela grew up surrounded by love. She was a bright, thoughtful child who asked many questions. When she turned 5, she asked her mother, "Why do people call you brave?" Sarah smiled and said, "Because I told the truth, even when it hurt." When Angela was older, Sarah sat down with her and shared the whole story. She did not hide the pain, but she also spoke with peace. She told Angela that she was born into a world that tried to stop her but failed. That she, Angela, was the symbol of strength, survival, and new beginnings. Angela listened quietly and hugged her mother tightly. She didn't speak for a few minutes, then whispered, "I'm glad you chose me." Sarah cried a little that day, not out of sadness, but because her daughter understood something that many adults still struggled with. Love is not about control. It's about truth, respect, and the freedom to choose. As Sarah grew older, she continued her work in education. She created a foundation to support women who had suffered from medical betrayal or partner control. The foundation helped women access legal advice, medical care, and emotional healing. It also trained doctors on how to have respectful conversations with patients, especially about reproductive health and consent. One day, Sarah was invited to speak at the United Nations. Her story had become global, and now she was asked to represent people whose voices were still not being heard. In her speech, she said something simple but powerful. Every human deserves to know the truth about their own body, and every human deserves the right to decide what happens to it. She didn't speak like a politician. She didn't use big words. But people listened, and some cried. Her voice had grown stronger over the years, not louder, just clearer. It carried truth, and truth always finds a way to reach hearts. Angela, now a teenager, sat in the front row during that speech. She was proud of her mother, but even more, she felt inspired. After the event, she said, "I want to help people too, Mama. Maybe in a different way, but I want to make sure no one feels helpless." Sarah smiled and replied, "That's the best gift you can give to the world." In the end, Sarah didn't just survive. She transformed. Her pain became purpose. Her silence became strength. And her story, once filled with fear, became a light for many others. And that is how a woman who almost died who was nearly broken by betrayal, changed the world, not through revenge, but through truth, love, and the power of choice. That's the end of the story. If you enjoyed the story, please like, share, and subscribe for more exciting tales. Check out our other videos and share your thoughts in the comments. Stay tuned for the next adventure. Thanks for watching.